Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Richard, founder of Short Term Rental University and professional real estate developer. And today's video is something I want you to avoid at all costs. It's a mistake I see many hosts make time and time again. And in fact, I'm going to storytell a little bit because this just happened to me in the 3 last places that I stayed on Airbnb. And that is hard to find, poor check-in instructions, or making that initial impression less than optimal. So let's overcome that and let's go ahead and get started. So let me give you a real life example that just happened to Eric and I yesterday, and we were confused. Our Uber driver was confused. Charles was meeting us on location. He was confused, as was his Uber driver. So there was a lot of confusion. And let's start with why. So the first thing was the house address doesn't exist in Google Maps. I guess Google is updating, there was some subdivision happening, whatever it is, but the street address that we were sent doesn't register in Google Maps. And so consequently, there was a lot of different explanations, and the Google Map address doesn't exist, and you enter on the side, and there's this wooden fence, and they did their absolute best to get us to the right place. But the first thing is, especially if you're buying a place, if it's not available on Google Maps, or it's going to be hard to get to, or Google Maps takes you to the wrong place, that should be a red flag, because it just means you're going to have more difficulty that's unnecessary. You can probably buy a place in a similar location that is on Google Maps, and it's just going to get people into the right place without any discomfort, and they're going to be happy when they arrive to your place. In this particular instance, the explanations that we were given, none of us could really follow it. As best as the hostess tried, there wasn't any clear marker. It was find the wooden fence and enter on the side street. And there's many side streets and many alleys and many wooden fences, and there was an aerial shot, but a much easier approach would be to paint the wooden fence orange or green or whatever, but make it so that it's unique and it stands out. And then 5 adults that are looking for this hard to find place are looking for a green door or an orange door, something that would be unique and identifiable and know with certainty that we're at the right place. So even though we're a little bit confused, we see it, we're like, aha, there it is, we're home. Because otherwise, we're dragging all of our different luggage, we're out of the Uber split, we're walking around, we feel unsafe, we're uncertain, and it's just hot and it's uncomfortable. And this has happened to us on multiple occasions. It can be a very difficult to find location. We left the place yesterday and we came to the Ritz-Carlton on Singer Island, and when we got to the check-in security desk, they asked us which tower. And in the communication from the host, we didn't know which tower. So if you don't know, or you're too familiar with the environment and you think it's easy because you've trained yourself, the best thing I can do is suggest that you get a friend, a significant other, or even a total stranger and ask them to follow the instructions and see if they can get it quickly and easily, or if they start to get frustrated and start to ask a lot of questions, because that's just not a good hosting experience. We have a lot of significant advantages over, say, hotels, but the one area where they absolutely beat us hands down is they've got a really easy to access address. They've got somebody behind the counter 24/7 in most cases that can greet you and tell you that you're at the right place. But I'm just grateful that we got to the place yesterday that was hard to access and there was daylight. Imagine if Erica was traveling alone, or anybody, your children were traveling alone, and it was dark and it was uncertain and they got out of the Uber and they couldn't find the place. That's just a terrible and unsafe experience. It's not going to bode well for their first impression in your home, and the place could be fantastic, but that's a hard hurdle to overcome. So do everything in your power to get it tested by others that aren't familiar with your place, and if they have difficulty, keep rewriting the instructions until it's more clear, and then put something that's of real value and differentiating so that everybody who's coming there knows exactly what it is that they're looking for, and they also know if they're in the wrong place. Until they see that orange door, they're going to keep looking. But what we kept doing was just walking around different alleys and different back places, and at one point Erica said to me, I'm worried that somebody's going to have a problem with us because we're walking around in their backyard and in their alley and we're looking for the entrance. And, we're professional Airbnb stayers and hosts, and we know what it is that we're doing, but there's a lot of guests that come stay with us that have never been in Airbnb, and this could turn them off to the platform altogether because it's just so uncomfortable and unnerving. So put yourself in their shoes as opposed to your own shoes. You know where you live, but everyone else may not. Pick a place that's easy to find, pick a place that's on Google Maps. Work with Google Maps to get that updated, and in the interim, make sure that you've got a really clearly designated sign, color, marking point, something playful. You could have a statue, just something so people know what it is that they're looking for, and it should be easy to see in daylight and at nighttime, in summertime and in wintertime. Just think about 24/7, 365, people need to be able to find your place if they're going to come and stay and have a great experience. So make it easy for them, or make it as easy as possible. And if you're contemplating between two choices, do I buy A or B, and one of them is much easier to find, you might want to lean towards the easier to find, because finding your place in the check-in instructions is the first impression, and it's really important that you nail it. So let me know, have you had places that are difficult to find, or do you have a place that's difficult to find, and what solutions have you implemented to make guests stay and first impression that much easier? Because again, the more that we share, the more that we learn, and I'm just sharing with you stuff that happened to us in real time just yesterday. 2 difficult check-ins, unnecessary in 2020, so let's solve that problem right now. Remember, what we got away with in the past, we're not going to be able to continue to get away with in the future. As competition increases, our hosting standards, our hosting knowledge, and all these little things that we just didn't really pay attention to become front and center in 2020. So please, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks so much for watching. But I want to share with you something that's really fantastic. My team and I have been solving one of my problems. You know, I'm all about building a brand, and the single best way to build that brand is to develop a relationship with your clients, and you want to get started sooner. So what I did for myself was create my own website tool, one click, and I have my own website. It's customized for me, 4 different templates to choose from. It's absolutely gorgeous, and one click, anyone can do it. And what this allows me to do is to develop relationships with my clients. The sooner the better. You don't want to delay and get started in 6 months or in 2 years. Do it now in 2020, get your best foot forward, and start to own those relationships. So go ahead and click in the description below to be notified upon release. January 2020, we're releasing it to the waitlist only, first at the best price ever. So if you want to take control of your financial destiny, click below. One click later, you got your website tool.